The barn dance should definitely be retitled Mickey and Minnie Travel to the Barn Dance and then spend a couple of minutes there. Because a lot of this short is actually set en route to the barn dance. Not that I have an issue with that, it's not a problem, but I do feel like there could have been more time spent at the barn and they could have spent a lot, could have utilized a lot more of the narrative there. I think that would have been a bit better. Needless to say, this isn't one of my favorite Disney shorts, and I don't necessarily know why, but I'm thinking part of it is because the narrative development just wasn't that great. But I also think that I'm not the biggest fan of the shorts where Mickey and Pegleg Pete, or Stinky Pete, or whatever variation he is at the time, are competing for Minnie. I find them quite cliche, and even as products of their time, I feel like the treatment of Minnie is often objectifying her. And I can take that with a pinch of salt. I don't think these are sexist, absolutely not. Again, products of its time, 1929. But just as human beings, I feel like the treatment of Minnie is not always great. Nevertheless, it's still a nice little bit of Disney history. As I said, primarily about Minnie and Mickey making their way on to this dance. Um, but Pete is also there as well, and they're both trying to vie for her affection. And who will Minnie let drive her to the barn dance? Whose invitation will she accept? Ultimately, who will she be with at the end of it? Once we get to the barn, I quite liked it. I thought the animation was quite nice. It's black and white, just for your reference. The actual animation of the characters, absolutely no problem. Mickey is recognizably Mickey. Minnie, she's Minnie, but in isolation, she doesn't look like Minnie Mouse at all. They were still refining her there. And Pete has pretty much looked like Pete since Pete first appeared. So it's not bad. It's definitely worth checking out if you're a fan of Disney, but if you are looking to watch a Disney short for the first time, this is not one that I would recommend as a top priority. Directed by Disney himself, all of the voices were apparently done by Disney, so that in itself is quite magical. It's not my favourite Mickey Mouse short, but by no means is it terrible.